world title in everyone's imagination. That's the heavyweight champ. You were here. Everyone else was here. But since then, the feeling has been Joshua makes all this money fighting anyway, 30 million pounds, whatever it is. Why should he take 40 or 50 to fight Wilder when he's making against anybody? He can make 30, 40 million pounds, whatever it is.
No fantasy contracts, just reality. You know, bringing our worth to the table and bargaining and negotiating what we're worth and making this fight happen.
Mentality do you come in with? I ask because when you were slick, to me that looked like a better fighter. But maybe this is the kind of fight where you just need to impose your strength.
Anthony Joshua's calm confidence was on full display as he sat down with Max Kellerman ahead of his highly anticipated showdown with Jake Paul. A matchup captivating both hardcore boxing fans and mainstream audiences. In the interview, Joshua went beyond simple fight talk. He opened up about the pressure surrounding the event, the weight of his legacy, and the spectacle this unlikely clash has created. With Kellerman pressing for deeper insight, Joshua tackled criticism, explained the true stakes, and revealed the motivations driving him to face such a controversial opponent.
You're a heavyweight champion, you're an undefeated Olympic super heavyweight gold medalist, you're entering your physical prime, and you put 100,000 people in Wembley. So I get your argument. I have the economic clout. He's not coming in as partners. I should get a bigger slice of the pie. Let's have a realistic negotiation.
Max Kellerman, known for mixing sharp technical analysis with a hint of theatrical skepticism, wasted no time addressing the bigger story behind the event. He pointed out the obvious. This is one of the strangest heavyweight matchups in recent memory. On one side stands Anthony Joshua, a former world champion. On the other is Jake Paul, an internet personality turned boxer. So why is this fight happening at all? It's the question millions have asked since the announcement, and Joshua's measured response set the tone for everything that followed.
Beat a guy like that, you're not gonna outbox him. If you're waiting on him and he's initiating and he's feinting you into counters and then he's countering.
When asked what he respects most about Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua answered with calm precision. He's bringing new eyes to boxing. Joshua acknowledged that, despite Paul's unconventional rise and lack of amateur background, he has willingly jumped into the deep end. Paul continues to place himself under immense pressure, taking on challenges far beyond what most expected. Joshua said what he appreciates most is Paul's enthusiasm and his willingness to test himself at the highest level, something he believes helps spotlight the sport and expand boxing's reach to newer, broader audiences.
Jake Paul, does he remind you of any guy that you fought before? Or is this a unique situation that you've never come across?
Very unique situation I've never come across, but treating with the same respect that I give all my competition.
So you got the mental fortitude, he's got the mental fortitude. But what's the one best thing that you pride Jake Paul of having that maybe you haven't seen in other competition you faced so far?
From a physical aspect, I couldn't even mention it at the minute. But from a mental aspect, he offered me the fight. Normally I'm offering people fights. He's told me, come and fight. So he believes in himself.
What does the word legacy mean to you, AJ?
Legacy, what does it mean? This is why I was actually asking someone, what does legacy mean? I don't even know.
The size difference between the two has become one of the main talking points. And for good reason. Jake Paul has always been solid and strong within his own divisions, but when he stands next to Anthony Joshua, it instantly becomes a true David versus Goliath visual. Joshua doesn't just tower over Paul. His physique reflects years of molding himself as a natural heavyweight. The contrast when they're side by side is almost startling. Even though Paul has packed on muscle and added weight for this matchup, he still can't match the natural mass, frame, or physical presence of someone used to battling full-sized heavyweights.
Jake Paul versus AJ, as though Jake Paul is the bigger in this equation. Not for me. Maybe for MVP, Nikisa, Jake Paul, but not for me. I've kind of marked it or titled it David versus Goliath just because of the size difference. Like, Jake Paul's a big guy. He is. He's 6'1", 220, probably fights around, the 200-pound mark. AJ is an enormous guy. Like, he's a big unit. I think Jake realized that when they came face to face. I don't know if that's the first time they've ever come that close. I'm sure they've met behind the scenes, But I think there was a realization from Jake Paul, like, fuck, this is a big dude. It's a very, very big dude who isn't coming to play. Like, there was no play with AJ. That was a press conference that almost sounded like AJ versus someone in the top 10, where AJ's taking it seriously. He's answering the questions direct that Ariel's throwing him. There was no, yeah, we're here to kind of fuck around. It's going to be easy. Give me my money. Let me run back to the UK. This was AJ's like, no, we're taking this seriously. And that ain't a good thing for Jake Paul. It isn't. And AJ's that guy anyway. Like, I would never doubt that AJ would take this seriously. But for Jake Paul, I do wonder if realization is kicking in, or maybe he is just that delusional where he doesn't care. I do, and I've been sort of corrected by a few people who maybe know better, but I do think the Americans don't credit or rate AJ. I do think there's a bit of that. I remember when AJ did the rounds prior to the Ruiz fight, and there were a few people like, yeah, you're not that good. This was
Nikki Sabedarian, CEO of Most Valuable Promotions, told Sky Sports that the December 19th bout between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua is being positioned as a major global event. He acknowledged that while Joshua's experience is unparalleled, Paul's bold, almost delusional confidence could serve as the unpredictable X factor in this matchup. Bidarian also revealed that the fight was significantly fast-tracked. Originally targeted for 2026, Paul pushed aggressively to move the timeline forward, leading to compressed negotiations that ultimately brought the showdown into reality far sooner than planned.
Will there be a limit for Joshua?
So there's a lot of discussion around the weight. Joshua fought Usyk twice. Both of those times, Usyk was 221 pounds. Joshua was 240 to 245. When Jake fought Mike Tyson last year, 227 pounds. I expect Jake will come in anywhere between 225 and 230, and Anthony Joshua has a weight limit of 245 pounds.
There will be those, as you're aware, that will look at it and criticise this fight. There already have been, haven't there? They'll say it's a real mismatch. What would you say to them? Are we going to be watching sport at its purest?
I would say it's much less of a mismatch than what you saw with AJ and Francis Ngannou, who a massive man, but relatively no boxing experience. I would say it's much less of a mismatch than AJ's 9th or 10th fight against guys who've been knocked out 20 to 25 times. Given AJ's pedigree, Jake is built for this. Jake is built for the big moments. So do I think it's dangerous for Jake Paul? Absolutely. Do I think it's also dangerous for Anthony Joshua?
Alexander Usyk has been blunt in his assessment of the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul matchup, calling it completely one-sided. Usyk compared Joshua to a Rolls-Royce and Paul to a Fiat, stressing that the two simply cannot be measured on the same scale. For Usyk, the difference goes far beyond fame or hype. It lies in fundamentals, experience, and true heavyweight conditioning. He believes Paul is stepping into real danger by entering the ring with Joshua, given how vastly different their boxing backgrounds and physical capabilities are.
Anthony Joshua is Olympic champion. So, Jack Paul is, sportsman, YouTuber, showman, Rolls Royce, yeah. Listen, it's true. I'm not.
Oh my God.
I'm massively betting one.
Yeah. It's just true. It's business, more money. Only this.
So we need to pray for Jake Paul.
Yes. I will pray Jake Paul because I want to fight with Jake Paul in October.
Do you think that Joshua should be fighting Tyson Fury next year?
I want this fight. Yeah, I fan.
Tony Jeff, an Olympic boxer, offered a different perspective on why Jake Paul shouldn't be dismissed. He pointed out that Paul has access to every resource a fighter could want: elite trainers, top-tier conditioning coaches, sports psychologists, nutritionists, and high-level sparring partners. With his financial backing, Jake can build a flawless training camp without cutting corners. Jeff added that Paul understands this is the toughest test of his career, so he will prepare more intensely than ever before. He also highlighted Paul's age advantage, noting that youth is one of boxing's biggest assets. Younger fighters recover faster, train harder, and often enter the ring stronger and more energetic.
Tail of the tape. Now looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got to talk about experience and everything else. What comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. They'll come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pounds versus 252 pounds. We've got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are included at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, I don't need to remind you. Then the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights and he's lost 4, 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The bout will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better for Jake Paul, and I'm thinking, not really, it's better for Anthony Joshua because he's just going to go all out for them 8 3-minute rounds. And imagine that, Anthony Joshua blasting at you, 6'6", whatever he is, 250 pounds, throwing big bombs at you. Anyway, both fighters will be using 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. Why have they got that on there? It says both fighters will be wearing 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. What do they expect? Them to take them off halfway through and switch them to 12s. I guess these days, anything happens in boxing, right? The boys will follow similar rules to Jake Paul and Mike Tyson in November, but that fight was 8 2-minute rounds and 14-ounce gloves. Not similar if it's smaller gloves. And 2-minute rounds. Who ruled this for the zone? It marks the first time Joshua will have contested less than 10 rounds since...
Eric Chisora has strongly condemned the idea of Jake Paul receiving a WBC ranking, calling it outright disrespectful to the sport. Chisora argued that real fighters spend years grinding their way up the rankings, while Paul, who has faced mostly non-ranked or past prime opponents, would be elevated purely because of fame, not achievement. He accused WBC President Mauricio Suleiman of sacrificing credibility for money, labeling the move a disgrace to boxing and insisting that rankings must be earned in the ring, not handed out for clicks or promotional hype at the same time. Some analysts have been siding with Jake Paul, claiming Anthony Joshua can't take punches anymore and suggesting his chin has deteriorated after previous knockout losses. But others pushed back, pointing out that losing to elite heavyweights like Daniel doesn't mean Paul can suddenly beat him. Joshua still possesses world-class skills, massive power, and a decade of top-level experience. They argue the talk of his decline is exaggerated and that if Joshua remains disciplined and focused, he has everything needed to win the fight convincingly.
WBC have said they're going to give a cruiserweight ranking to the winner of this fight. Do you think they deserve one?
I don't think so. I don't know why. It's hard enough for real athletes, for real boxers to gain those rankings, and then suddenly this Solomon Sousa decides to give double ranking because he's getting some greens in his, in his back pocket. No, that is.
Anthony Yarde delivered a more forceful warning, urging Joshua not to underestimate Jake Paul. He said Joshua should punch him up and treat the fight with full seriousness. Yarde acknowledged that Paul is excellent at generating hype and drawing global attention, which can sometimes distract or mentally soften opponents. He cautioned that if Joshua enters the ring too relaxed or overly comfortable, Paul could take advantage of that moment and catch him off guard.
AJ's laughing against Jake Paul. Come on. If it's not, there's all these people say, oh, it's all fixed and all this. If that's not true, AJ just go up there and punch him up. But if some funny stuff happens and Jake Paul starts doing the rope-a-dope, the site must be going on. But yeah, I don't think this fight's crazy. I think it's, but Jake Paul's a master at getting eyes. He's been like that. He's very smart. No one cares if he loses, he's meant to lose, and they both make so much.
Former UFC contender turned boxer Darren Till weighed in strongly in support of Jake Paul. Responding to reports that a Joshua versus Paul fight may be close, He called Saudi promoter Turki Alshika's involvement hypocritical, bluntly saying, "Get thee out of here." Till argued that Paul enters the matchup with nothing to lose, while Joshua's mental fragility under pressure remains a major vulnerability. He insisted that Joshua is not the strongest mentally, and claimed Paul's toughness and fearlessness could give him a real advantage if the fight happens.
Paul, Anthony Joshua, as much as he's a monster, he's got a weak mind, hasn't he? So Jake could end up getting into it because Jake's got everyone eating out the palm of his hand. He's a very clever man. So
you really think he's got a chance?
Why wouldn't he have a chance? Look how confident he is. Mate, come on. Like, Anthony would have all the pressure in the world, and if Anthony didn't do him with the first few punches, he'd start doubting himself in his head, because that's what he does. But no, Anthony should win, shouldn't he?
What do you make of Tyson Fury saying that he's going to put $1 million bet on Jake winning by knockout?
Tyson to leg it, lad. He's retired about 50 times. What's he on about, mate? Just tell him to leg it. I don't love him. If he walked in here, I'd obviously...
At one point you were good friends.
We're good friends, but obviously if he walked in here, I'd act like I'm not talking about him, but then on the camera I'm talking to him. Is this not what we're on? Is everyone not fake, or no? We all... What are we on here? Are we all acting like we don't hate each other? Like, come on. Like what?
You're on absolute smoke today.
Tyson.
Duke McKenzie, a former 3-weight world champion and ex-ITV boxing commentator, has voiced strong criticism of the idea of Anthony Joshua facing Jake Paul, particularly in the growing trend of crossover fights. McKenzie slammed YouTubers and MMA fighters stepping into boxing, calling the phenomenon misguided and potentially dangerous. Reflecting on Joshua's previous bout with ex-UFC champion Francis Ngannou, he warned it could have ended in disaster, stressing that the MMA fighter should never have been matched with a seasoned heavyweight like Joshua. McKenzie urged athletes to remain in their respective arenas, emphasizing that staying in their lane is crucial for maintaining safety, fairness, and the sport's integrity.
And has confirmed that they are actually in talks to have this fight before a possible fight against Fury.
Well, Eddie Hearn's a promoter first and foremost, and he's in the business of making money. I'm not so sure he's even thinking about anybody's, getting hurt or anything like that. That hasn't even entered his head. But he should, because somebody could easily lose their life.
That's quite a concern, isn't it? I mean, that should be the forefront of everybody's mind.
I think so. There's the fight business, and then there's the fight game, and the way they're talking about it, they're talking about it like it's a game. I don't think Anthony Joshua would take Jake Paul lightly, any way, shape, or form, and it'd be so easy to hit. You talk about a trained athlete.
Chael Sonnen joked that Jake Paul would probably try to call out Anthony Joshua even on the day of the fight if he could, but he reminded everyone that boxing doesn't work that way. Sonnen explained that Paul is covering almost all costs, from press events to promotional activities, because he isn't just the fighter. He's also the promoter. This dual role means he carries the financial burden and cannot make last-minute changes or surprise people with sudden decisions. Sonnen emphasized that Jake has built this entire path himself, and with that comes responsibility, as his money, time, and reputation are all on the line. While many analysts remain skeptical, believing Jake will ultimately pull out and avoid facing Joshua, Sonnen disagrees. He insists that Paul was the one who originally orchestrated the fight and has every intention of seeing it through, showing confidence in Jake's commitment and planning.
They're telling you what they would do. Do you think this guy would fight this guy? No way. He'd get his ass kicked. So they're telling you about themselves. They're letting you know that they would not take a fight that they didn't know that they were going to win. When the person says, mark my words, Jake Paul will pull out of this fight, he might even do it the day of. Pull out of the fight to who? It's his fight. Who is this mystery person? Did you write? Because I know this is a big category. I just read one guy that said this. But I'm talking to a lot of you, aren't I? A lot of you believe that Jake Paul is going to pull out of that fight. Might even do it the day of, correct? Correct? Okay. Who would he pull out to? He is the promoter. Who would he call? Does he send an email to himself? Does he send a text message to himself? Does he schedule a meeting, come in and sit down, across the table and look in the eye himself? Like, It's the part that is the most fascinating about the whole thing is that Jake would be the one to be the skunk at the garden party. It's his money that has brought us to...
Is this fight a complete mismatch or a high-stakes wild card blockbuster?